Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how I fixed my Jeep 4.0 leaking with 3D printing. This is actually my XJ Cherokee. I just pulled it out for wintertime up here in Colorado. So I'm just doing this real quick because I know these are going to fail. But normally when these leak, they leak in the back, which this one is from my test drive yesterday. And the reason why is usually because the seal has let loose, and these seals are torqued down with they're not foot pounds, they're inch pounds. So it's really low torque settings. So it doesn't take much for them to rattle loose and come loose and stuff. So I'm going to fix those today, and I'm going to show you how I did that with 3D printing. Normally I take this whole valve cover off, clean it, reseal it and stuff. I'm gonna try and do that, but I'm gonna have to do that in a hurry. So basically what's going on is my Cherokee does not have the torque limiting sleeves, these little blue things you're seeing. Those are usually made of steel. They were stamped. Jeep hasn't made those in forever, probably since they stopped selling this Jeep. So without those, it's really hard to distribute the torque load from your bolts throughout the whole seal without it leaking, I found. I've had a couple of times where I was successful with just putting metal washers between the bolts and the grommets, but normally that just tears the grommets up. What I came up with was just 3D printing a set. So you can see these blue ones are a previous generation of these from last winter. And they were made using ASA, which is like a little bit more of a temperature resistant version of ABS, and they have failed. It takes quite a while for them to fail, but they do still fail. So the newest generation are these here, and these are nylon. Focus. So basically they're the same exact thing, but they're made with a high temperature nylon, and they are a pain to 3D print. So if you're printing your own and you want to use this same material, this is Toloman 3D nylon 910, but it's the high temperature version. And then after you print it, it needs to go in the oven, and you need to make sure you have an oven that's electric, that's clean, and you don't mind never cooking food in again, that can reach 330 degrees Fahrenheit. And you need to leave these in there for 2 hours to heat anneal, and then they last pretty much forever on these. So what I'm going to end up doing is just taking these all out one by one, kind of like this, and then taking the old ones off, which is going to be kind of a pain, and then putting the new ones on and just retorquing all the bolts after I've done that. I don't have time to take the whole valve cover off. And if I screw something up, like the grommets, I imagine some of the grommets are going to fall apart. I don't have new ones to replace those. So if you've bought these from me and you're installing them yourself, some tips that I have: just hand tight these down. Just hand tight your bolts down. You don't need to inch torque them or anything. Just don't over tighten. If these break, they were designed to break before you screwed something up. So the biggest thing that we don't want to have happen is them melt, and they shouldn't melt now. I've had these on my other Jeep for, I don't know, 8 months through summertime and haven't had any problems. Another tip would be, if you don't have a flange bolt like this, focus. There we go. So if you don't have a flange bolt like this one, it's going to be really hard to distribute the torque load a little better. So you're going to make sure you want to try and find some flange head bolts. Now these aren't stock bolts. I've stripped a couple of mine out on this Jeep, so I had to go get some different ones. So that's what these are. But I'm going to get to that real quick, and then I'll show you the tightening process. Alright guys, just a quick little tip here. On your bolts, if you want to, or if you can, it's usually better to run a washer, just to kind of help things out. But you don't really need it if you've got the flange bolt. One of the biggest tips I can give you is take some some oil black freaking RTV gasket sealer, and just put it on the very tip of your bolt before you run them in. What this is going to do is just help stop these bolts from shaking out and losing the torque. So that's the number one reason why these things leak after like 6 months worth of driving around and stuff. So I've done this every time, and it's pretty much, I've never had a bolt back out. So just a quick tip for you.